Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to start with our very first control command for our dog manners class today, and we're going to focus on the sit. Now, if you have lived with your dog for any period of time, the sit is probably one of the very first things that they learn. It's a very natural action. All animals sit, all animals lie down, they all stand. But putting that action to a command is what we want to focus on. Let me get this in so you can hear me. Everybody hear me? So first thing you want to do is when we're teaching anything, we want to make sure that we have our tools. And in dog training, rewards are really important. Rewards can be a lot of different things. They can be voice. What a good dog you are. All right, what a good baby. You can use your voice to reward. You can use your physical touch with a pet. You can also use food. I use kibble, tiny little pieces of kibble. And this is actually part of Leo's meal. This is kind of a low value treat, okay, a low value reward. If I am teaching something that is really difficult, every now and then I might reward with something that's a higher value, something he really, really wants. And that might be cheese or lunch meat or a bit of turkey. Depends on your dog. I had a collie that worked really, really well for sliced carrots, which was a good thing because he had a thyroid condition. A reward can also be a toy, a squeaky toy, something that you can toss and play with. So you have to kind of know your dog, but you want to come prepared with some of these simple tools. The other thing that I really like to do when I'm teaching something is I like to teach in short bursts. So I am not going to work on the sit for 15 solid minutes. I am going to probably do, 5 or 10 sits, go off and do something else, come on back, do, 5 or 10 more in different places, and I'm going to try to make that training really fun. When I'm training, I also need control. I don't want him running off and barking at the front door when I'm trying to teach him something. So I'm going to have my dog on a line or on a leash, which means that he's got to be wearing a well-fit buckle collar. There's so many different types of supplies and things out there to control your dog. Rule of thumb is the thicker the leash, the more control that you will have over your dog. But it's got to be appropriate to your dog's size. So for my dog's about 15 pounds. This size, it's a little bit thin, but I'm going to kind of use it as a line as well. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to put the line on the dog, and then I want to show you some physical placement. Dog training has evolved over the years. I've seen there are many different ways to teach behaviors. And you have to kind of use what's best for you and your dog. The things that I'm doing might not work for you. And your relationship with your dog is completely different than a relationship that I might have with my dog. So you kind of have to just use what's best. I am going to show you first physical placement into the sit. And I think that this has a lot of benefits. It's kind of what we would call the old school way of getting your dog to sit. But the benefits of placing your dog into a sit is that you are touching your dog. And there will always be a time where somebody is going to come up and touch your dog. Now, it may not be you, which there's a different dynamic there, but that practice of actually physically touching at the neck and at the hind end and physically placing the dog into a sit can have some benefits. If you think about your normal veterinary visit, when you go there, the dog is more than likely placed up onto the table and positioned into a sit. That vet is going to have his hand at the ruff of the dog's neck on the top, and he's also going to probably be messing around with that back end, especially if a temperature has to be taken or anything like that. So, it's always good to do physical handling in a comfortable situation with your dog. So I'm going to show you how to physically place a dog into a sit. In order to do that, I'm going to have Leo, my dog, come over here. Leo! And here he comes. I'm going to place him on this lead, and that way I will have control. So I've got this here. Now I don't have to have this in my hand all the time. I can just drop it on the floor, and if he goes to wander away, get the dog toys out of the way, I can grab a hold of it. I've got my treat pouch here, and I'm going to take that and put it in my pocket, get it set up. I want to make sure that I have that available. Oh, does he know that that's there? Okay, so I'm going to take my dog here. I'm going to take my left hand and put it down to my dog's collar, position it near the top. Grab it with my right hand, and I'm going to simply, oh, hi Lee. Okay. Now, I think I was stepping on his tail. Come here. So I'm going to grab here, and you can see as soon as I grab here, he almost goes into an automatic sit. I'm grabbing here, and I'm going to pull up and push down. Leo, sit. Okay. Chin touch release. Tap under the chin and offer that release word, which my release word is okay. Yours might be free, or you might choose a different word. Leo, sit. Okay. I tend to hold my hand down on his backside, or at least hover it above his backside in case he should try to get up. Leo, sit. So now I'm just hovering, 1, 2, 3. If he should try to get up, I can easily grab here and reposition into the sit. Okay, good dog. Now at this point, the only thing that he has had for a reward is my voice. I have not offered him a treat for the physical placement. Leo, sit. Notice I'm holding the line up above his neckline here. I'm not, pulling up on that. It's just taut. He can feel that just a little bit, which encourages that sit. But pulling up and pushing down. Now, at no point should you be pushing on their back. It's always the back end of the dog. And you can see as soon as I start to lean over, he offers that sit. So that is a physical placement of the sit. I also want to show you how to lure your dog into a sit. Now, this isn't really all that hands-on. The only thing where you might touch your dog is that physical release, where you're touching the chin and offering your release command. Now, a lot of people say, well, why do you touch the chin? Why don't you just say the release word? Well, my release word is okay. Now, I don't say that in normal conversation with that tonation, okay, that intonation. I don't say okay all the time, but that's my release. And should he get confused, if I'm talking to somebody and I have him in a sit, and a sit is an automatic stay. It is not sit down, get up, and wander around. It is sit until you are released. So I am going to make sure that he knows he cannot get up unless he feels that chin touch. So it's okay, chin touch, release. So if I say the word okay and he gets up, I'm going to actually kind of replace him back to where he was, and offer no reward until he's released. That way as you go on further in your training, there shouldn't be as many mistakes. It's very, very clear. I do not get up from my sit until I hear the word and feel the touch. So, luring into the sit. For this, you do have to have your treats. And I will tell you that if the nose goes up, the butt goes down. Okay? And you can hold this treat in your hand above the nose, and you can almost guide him exactly into position with this treat. I'm going to show you how that works. So I've got my treat in my hand. I've got my leash in my other hand. Come here, Lee. And Leo, sit. Now, he's not going to get up. He's trying to get that treat there. Okay, touch and release. So I've got it here. I'm actually luring him around the room here. Leo, sit. Okay. Okay. I am going to do this several times. Now, in the beginning, when you are actually teaching the sit, you're teaching him a hand signal as well. So as I have the treat in my hand, I'm going to go, Leo, sit. The hand goes up. Oh, he's sitting up. I'm going to reward that. And right here, sit. But this is your signal for sit. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Leo, sit. Good boy. Now you can see my body language. I'm actually stepping forward into the dog a little bit. Okay? This forward lean and this step forward tells Leo that I am in more of control. If I'm not stepping forward, if I'm back like this, Leo, sit, it doesn't work as well. So Leo, come. Dogs pay attention to our body language far more than they ever pay attention to anything else. Sit. And again, sit means sit until I tell you to do something else. Okay. Luring him around. Leo, sit. Okay. And there we have it. So that luring into position is what is going to keep him learning that command. Okay. You don't have to put a word to it the first 5 or 6 times that you do it. Then it becomes one command, Leo, his name, Leo, sit. One action, lure, and then eventually release. I increase in time and distance as I'm teaching the sit. So I stay very, very close, right around the dog's head. I want to be able to reach down and either lure back into position or physically place my dog back into position. But you want to be really close to start with. You're going to increase in time and distance. So I might start with a 3-second sit. Okay, release. Maybe I'll work up to 10 seconds. Okay, release. I want to give him every chance I can to be successful. If he is making mistakes at 7 seconds, I am not going to move on and go to 15 seconds. I'm going to stay at 7 seconds, and I'm going to offer distractions eventually. Okay, if he starts to get solid at 7 seconds and he isn't making any mistakes, then I might roll a ball across the room, or maybe have somebody walk by, and that'll be a distraction. If he gets up, then I can replace or reposition him into that sit. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, we can talk about it now. I do want to tell you that, like I said, it seems sometimes a little bit redundant to teach the dog the sit, especially when you think in your mind, my dog knows the sit. Yeah, most dogs do know that when they sit, something good happens. But as you practice now, and as you are focusing on this, I'm going to ask that you increase those distractions. And maybe sit was just put your butt on the ground for 2 seconds before for you. But now sit means sit until I tell you to do something else. We're kind of starting to incorporate that stay. Sit until you are released. Well, I hope this made a lot of sense to you guys. I'm sure that some of you might have some questions, and if you do, I'd be more than happy to answer those. So good luck. 2 15-minute sessions a day. Focus on your sit, add your distractions, and we'll be back in just a few days to add the next step. Take care.